All right, ladies and
Uh,
gentlemen, currently for me, it is 12:56 p.m. Central Time. For Shawn over here, otherwise known as Vulgr X, down in Cape Town, South Africa, it is like what, almost 9 p.m. for you now?
yeah, it's 8:57.
8:57, yeah, exactly. So this dude is 8 hours ahead of me across the ocean, across the Atlantic Ocean at that, and hella farther down south. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we start a new chapter of the Anatomy podcast, simply branching out as far as genre. Because for those of you who have been here since the last 34 episodes, we've mainly been doing the heaviest and the most unique bands in metal and like deep underground metal, deep underground counterculture. So tonight, we change up the formula a little bit, but welcome to the Anatomy Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Cross. I also have the Shawn Cross YouTube channel. I have what is going to be soon the Anatomy Podcast YouTube channel. That way, every time you guys get a notification, every time you guys get a ping, it's for a brand new episode instead of one of my up to five to six just clickbait reaction videos a day. And then on top of that, soon we will be getting my own original band project, Blind Without Our Failures, which consists of and is for fans of Make Them Suffer, The Last 10 Seconds of Life, While She Sleeps, Shrine of Malice, and plenty more. Because song by song, we plan to cater towards different genres, but generally speaking, the band is going to be ambient slam. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be dark. It's going to be eerie at times, but also you got to have those redeeming qualities in the lyricism. But enough about me, despite being the host. Tonight, we branch out into the world of trap metal, which to be honest, never thought that we'd be doing on the Shawn Cross channel. But after all, trap metal, it is a growing scene. You got artists such as Xavius, who does, well, the Xavius Project. You got Sinners, which is Duncan Bentley doing rap. You got Hush, which is
Yeah,
Lucas
Duncan.
Griffin from Acrania. Like the scene is growing day by day. And who knows, maybe we will indulge in it someday. But until further notice, I am shit at rapping. I barely know how to rap. That's more or less what Shawn is here to do with his project Vulgr, and also kind of seeking out into the world and hopefully one day reaching out and starting a slam project, because that's what he's been telling me, is that he's been wanting to start a project, but a lot like myself, he has been looking for musicians, and well, sometimes the people don't want to cater towards the specific genre. Maybe they have their lives to attend to, so they don't feel like they could devote just because it's not a solid project or something along those lines. There's always all of these various complications that come with getting your band project started up in the first place. But to start off, to really kickstart the session, because it's now 1 p.m. for me, 9 p.m. for Shawn. Shawn, how you doing tonight,
Yep.
my friend?
I'm always good, bro. Always good. As good as it gets, man.
Right,
Been
exactly.
good, feeling good. Just been watching the Charismatic Voice, chilling
Dude,
to that.
yes.
I love it, dude. I love it. She actually replied to me the other day on Instagram. It's pretty cool.
That's
I
actually,
love
yeah,
it.
that's super cool, man. That's really
Um,
awesome. And like, I don't know if you're familiar, speaking on behalf of like YouTubers, reactors, bigger reacting channels, people who actually dissect the musical or the vocal anatomy per se, as per the term for this podcast, the Anatomy Podcast, except we dissect the music genre and bands and artists as anatomies instead. um
yeah.
Mark Garrett. I don't know if you're familiar with Carnivox Academy, but
Yeah.
um really, really cool dude. And that's another one of those AZ locals that have just kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable about being born and raised a desert rat, but meant to be for colder weather type of thing. But I mean, everybody's already heard enough about that story. And if you want to, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about that at a different time. Because tonight we tighten a little bit more with the formula now that we have the opportunity to monetize per se, which like I don't want to be subtle and just be like, oh my gosh, we can make money off the podcast now. But also for the first 50 followers over on the Anchor podcast feed website who have decided to follow the podcast, thank you. To Thor Ida from Planet Killer, thank you for offering messages and feedback, being the first person to go ahead and offer feedback and direct messages, which everybody has the opportunity to do. And if not, I will be updating that accordingly as soon as possible. But again, tonight we are descending into the growing world of trap metal, starting with Shawn. And right off the bat, Shawn, I'm actually curious on how you pronounce your last name, because every now and then, I feel the need to call someone by their last name for the sake of being polite.
Uh, yeah, it's actually pronounced Redelinghuys.
Redelinghuys, Redelinghuys.
Yeah, Redelinghuys. Yeah,
That's cool.
Redelinghuys.
That definitely
Yeah, it's
sounds like more European. That's interesting.
yeah. It derives from Germany. I've got a lot of German blood in me.
You can definitely hear that with the tongue too, but we love to see it, man. And especially like going down to Cape Town, but then your descendancy comes up from Europe. Like we're reaching all over the world recently, and it's been an absolute honor. So right off the bat, man, as we kind of really dive into this session, the first thing we do, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to check out previous episodes. If not, that's completely
Yeah,
fine. And usually we'll
I
just
have.
provide the formula anyways. But
Yeah, no, dude. I actually love your show. I was spinning up the other night after we got hold of each other and started chatting. I actually went on to there and checked it out on Spotify, and I just found myself listening to like a whole bunch of them. It was crazy.
I
Like
appreciate that, man.
it's actually nice to listen to. It's not talking a bunch of shit the whole time, and it's actually like comforting. It's
I'm glad
great.
to hear
I
that, man.
actually fell asleep to it. I left it on. It was just playing and shit, and I just fell asleep to it. It was great.
Sick. I mean, with now as of the last episode, now we have more than 34 hours worth of just talking to bands and expanding this band glossary, this music documentary encyclopedia. Like that's really the end game goal is one day, no matter how small or big the band is, it's like, hey, I want to learn their story. Where should I go? And then you can just like, and you go ahead. My mic cut out. There we go. Of course. So like reaching out to all these various bands, like it's been really fun. And shout out to Chris Paz of Shrine of Malice too, because he was one of the first people to say, this is different, this is fresh, and we need a lot more of this in the world. And that was a lot closer to the very beginning. So shout out to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well.
Dude, Madness is great.
Shrine of Malice is great. They're homies of mine. Greg Gilbert is like one of my buddies. And to be honest, all of the feedback that anybody in my comment section on the YouTube channel had for my most recent Shrine of Malice cover, or not cover, but reaction. Like, dude, I support him. I know the story. I know the background of what happened. So like I still
Yeah,
support him at the end of the day. And if you don't, please just walk away. Like
yeah.
digitally walk away because I don't need
Yeah.
that negative energy and neither do the boys. But
Nobody understood.
exactly. So as we kind of dig into your story, man, because you're more familiar with the formula, let's go ahead and go back to the earliest point you can recount as far as getting into music, wanting to become a musician. And I mean, maybe there were creative mediums beforehand that you're wanting to invest into. All of those details you think are worth mentioning. Take it from the top and let's start at the beginning.
All right. Yeah, well, basically, the first time as far back as I can remember, my sister actually used to be quite a metalhead, and she had quite a bunch of CDs over there in her spot. And me being 5 or 6 years old, yeah, one day I kind of went and got into her, like she had this backpack of CDs, and I was like, well, scratch the shit, like. That really was just so cool, just having all these CDs of all these different types of music and shit. And one day I came across the CD that had like a whole bunch of Marilyn Manson and Slipknot and Rammstein, My Chemical Romance, Puddle of Mud, all the boys, you know. And the moment that I heard that, you know, especially with one of the songs from Linkin Park, I've given up. That was one of the first
Yeah.
songs that I've ever heard from Linkin Park, and that was like, holy shit. And already there, I was just into metal music, and it just got heavier from that point. And by the time I was year 8, 9 years old, I was listening to bands like Bring Me the Horizon, um, you know, Asking Alexandria, Suicide Silence, stuff like that. And it just got heavier, man. Over the times, like I never really wanted to do music at first. Like music was always there. I always had it as a release, but I didn't think I wanted to do it as a career in my very young stage in life. Because back then I kind of always just wanted to be a skater, you know, like I was doing skateboarding and stuff. I eventually quit when I was not, about 19, 18. That was already about quite deep into my drug addiction and alcoholic phase. So I kind of just lost passion for it. And music had again, it's just always been there. So it was something to go back to, you know. And I I remember actually seeing an interview from Corey Taylor from Slipknot, and he said too, like music was always just there, and he had all of these different like these hobbies, you know, and he would go through all of them, but you know, he would do it and then leave it, and then he would like do music for a bit, and then go back to another hobby, and then eventually leave it, and then you know go do something else, or it's music again. And that interview actually kind of helped me find what I wanted to do in life when I was like, yeah, around 12 years old or some shit. Um, then I wanted to start a band. And for like 2 years of just trying to replicate a sound without knowing anything, I
Right.
eventually got a cell phone and stuff, and got hold of YouTube, went on there, and I actually found a tutorial from this other band. I don't know how to say the name anymore. I think it was Shriknia or something like that. It's crazy. And after watching this video for like 2 minutes, then I just like took a step back, and I was like, wait, I can do this. And the video just basically explained like about that gargle in the back of your throat. And after 2 minutes of checking that shit out, I just stood back and I was just like, yo, like fuck yeah, you know. And I just like jumped on that, and from that point on, I was doing metal vocals, and I was trying to like start bands and stuff from then. I got to do quite a few projects, but everybody kept on falling away, you know. It's always just like a join and then fall away, join and fall away. So
Yeah.
um, that got a little bit discouraging. I wasn't very happy about it, that like I'd wasted so much time in my life, you know, trying to start with other people, and it just never worked. And this year basically has been probably one of the worst years of my life. And after just sitting in a very dark place and shit, just on the internet and crack the whole time, I came across this documentary about Lil Peep,
Mm.
and it's called Everybody's Everything. And I saw this, and I could like relate to it so much, you know, like it was just crazy, like how I felt this type of energy, you know.
Right.
And I was actually drunk as shit when I was watching it, and yeah, like I was just checking it out, and I felt this overwhelming uh like inspiration, dude. And I knew like right over there, you know, like if I want to do this, and if I really want to make music, because I don't really, you know, like I'm not really good at most other things, you know. And around over here, especially in South Africa, bro, the employment rate is so high. It's crazy. The unemployment rate is so high. It's not, yeah, it's not great.
Blasphemous,
Everybody,
probably.
dude, I'm unemployed. Been unemployed now for a whole year. Been looking for jobs this whole year. Sucks.
Damn.
Um, yeah, no, it's not fun. It's really hard. So, um, I knew that I had to start somewhere. So
Exactly.
I just jumped on my phone because, I'm broke as hell, don't have equipment, any of that shit. All I have is my phone. And there's this program called BandLab. And BandLab is what I've been using to try and create some of my like metal songs and shit. I've been using it now for probably a year, just messing around in it. But now, these last 5 months, after watching that documentary, I started just checking out a couple tutorials on how to write beats. And within a couple of days, I was writing up a couple of beats, got some trap beats going, and then just added some vocals, lyrics. Like probably every one of these songs, they come from really like down, down places. I mean, I was on come downs when I wrote them,
Yes.
very like depressing spots. Um, Staying up here 5 o'clock in the morning, like writing these tracks. I
Right.
was so dedicated, so drugged up at the same time that it was just like was screwed up. Um, but yeah, I jumped onto it and started to get this all going, and I just had this good feeling in me that like something's either gonna happen with this or it's not.
Hmm.
So after jumping onto it, I knew that okay, it's not gonna help just dropping a single or an EP, go big or go home. So I dropped the full album,
Hmm.
12 tracks. Um, so I thought that would maybe just be a better idea. So I jumped on with that and released it on BandLab first. And got some people liking it, and shortly after, put it all up on YouTube. And surprisingly, people are actually following it like more up on my TikTok.
Yeah.
They're loving a lot of the content on TikTok over there. YouTube's going a bit slow, but YouTube has been going quite slow for like the last 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, 15 years, let's say that. Because of all the certain features and stuff being taken away. So yeah, it's kind of slow, but I've got a feeling we'll eventually get there.
Yeah. No, ideally. And the thing is too, why is my mic so loud? What the fuck? The thing is too, like me and you share a very like obviously I'm in a lot less of a hostile area, right? And employment rate over here in the US, like it's very competitive, but you always have an opportunity. So I'm always grateful for that. But just speaking for like going back a little bit, of course, how hard it can be to find musicians at first and physical musicians that are devoted to what you want to do, or, they're like maybe they're not feeling as serious with your project as other endeavors. Cause I know like at least 5 different people over here who have like 4 different band projects and they're just working with people from Canada or they're working with people from the UK.
Yeah,
And it gets so intricate. I think that's a pretty applicable word. Just like complicated, complex. It becomes a cobweb, creatively speaking. So over time, I'm sure just like myself, you're just like, fuck this. I'll just make something on my own. I'll try to do something on my own.
yeah,
And for me, it happened to be a clickbait YouTube channel with like the podcast, of course. And then I made it more detailed by also having the under the skin session. I do vocal covers every now and then, but shit, I don't know how to sound engineer. So I reach out to certain people that I've known over time and that's kind of worked itself out. But um I can only imagine that in your spot, in your situation, like it was even more complicated. So the fact that you're at least here and that you've at least released music and you've tried and you've utilized what you can obtain for your creative medium, that's all that matters, man. That's really
Yeah,
all that
dude.
matters, is that you're here. And I mean, shit, you're on a, like, not that this is a big podcast at all. It's a very steadily growing podcast, but now like you have the opportunity to just kind of push your stuff out even more just because
For
like,
sure.
you friend requested me and shit. Like it's awesome how things work out when you really are determined to get something done. But I
Yes.
wanted to go ahead and rewind a little bit and basically get as much details in there as possible because that's what we do. This kind of acts like a documentary podcast, right? So the only difference between this and the History Channel is that I don't have the financial resources to travel down to Cape Town. You know what I mean? So whilst I'm not able to do that, we can at least talk on here and tell as much of your story as possible. So when you started out, you mentioned that like the music thing really, really started out with your older sister just unleashing a backpack of scratched, fucked up CDs from all of these various starter
Yeah.
kit, new metal, metal rock bands. So,
Yeah.
and like you were digging into that, you were getting associated with all these bands, you were listening and you were just absorbing everything. And like with your musical taste, at least, it started with Given Up by Linkin Park and continued to get heavier. Um,
Yeah.
and as we're learning about you listening to all these various bands, because that's how everybody starts out. I mean, shit, I started out with dubstep, and then I'm like, okay, I like the bass, but it's too repetitive. I know the formula for every song by
Yeah.
every artist now. Let's move on. So,
Yeah. I
then I
get it.
got into Corn, or no, I would say I got into Corn. I was listening to Shoots and Ladders by them for a little bit, but then, and that was just like the iTunes that my parents had. They had like Alice in Chains, Corn, Pantera, a couple songs by Metallica, and then there was George Strait, and I'm like, I want to distance myself from that. Like nothing against George Strait, but I'm just not a country guy, and never have been. Um, but like on top of that too, it was so funny because my starter kit was actually all of those bands like Pantera, Metallica, Alice in
Yeah.
Chains, but there was
Yeah.
also Katy Perry, there was also Tayo Cruz, and for a little bit when I was like, I don't know, my parents, my father and my grandmother were trying to get me and my siblings more involved in church. Uh, it haunts me to this day that I now recently found out who this artist's name is, but that like Christian rock, Toby Mac, and like all of these other just goofy, just
Why does it sound so familiar?
oh, Toby Mac is like one of the biggest Christian artists out there today, like even still today, but it's because the scene is so small, so there's not really much room to grow. Um,
What band does he sing for? Is that like for today or something?
no, no, no. Toby Mac is just Toby Mac. For Today is a
Oh,
completely different Christian band, yeah. And like Toby Mac is more like very small hints of guitar, and then
oh,
other than
okay.
that, it's just like in the name of God and all that other shit. It's goofy, bro. It's so goofy. But man,
Some
like I
cheese.
started it so fucking cheesy. Sitting on our knees back in the day when I was like still Christian and before like certain things happened and then I just completely broke away from that. I'm like, nah, I don't want any part in it. City on Our Knees by Toby Mac. That was like one of my first regular songs. And I it has like a Christmas vibe to it, which I think was the only appeal to me at the time.
Had a
But
jingle.
yeah, yeah, basically. Like you listen to it and you're like, well, I can imagine myself in an amphitheater full of Christian people just bowing on our knees to God. It's just fucking goofy, bro. But I mean, that's where I started. That's where I started. And then like, I don't know, I went from pop and starter bands to Pierce the Veil, Black Veil Brides, Sleeping with Sirens, just like the swoopy hair bands. And I'm like, this isn't
Okay.
heavy enough. Went to Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace. This isn't heavy
Oh,
enough.
Break Benjamin. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
like
Break Benjamin's beautiful, dude. Like they're great. They're
great
great.
band. Absolutely,
Great.
yeah. But for like a kid who doesn't know that did not know at the time that he was meant to be a deathcore kid and trying to be in an ambient slam band or an ambient deathcore band, it's like, okay, this is kind of like muddy. And I can only think of the color brown when I think of Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, Skillet, even Paramore and shit. Like,
Yeah.
these are pretty good bands, but I'm quickly moving on from that. So like I do have to ask the question, was like the backpack full of starter bands, did they have any bands that now you look back on and you can just never listen to those bands again?
Um,
just because they're not
some
appealing.
of
Nothing
them,
against them,
some
but you know.
some songs. Not really a lot of songs, but some. Probably
Mm.
like two or three. And then she had these other CDs with all this other, just random, uh, like mainstream shitty Eurotrash music and crap. And I
Right.
was like, nah, you know what? Burning these and we're keeping these, you know? So we only ended up keeping like the rock and anything that had a drum set, guitar, and a vocalist, we kept that. Anything else, we'd burn. And like, yeah, we'd like make ornaments and shit out of it and then destroy it. But yeah, that was like the whole thing with the backpack and everything that was heavy or had good riffs or anything was kept in there. And just on every single one of those CDs that were kept, like all of the songs are great. Dude.
Right. No,
The
that's
songs,
funny. By chance, do you remember the songs that you ended up just like, nah? Like, do you remember them at all?
shit, yo, um, Britney Spears and them is one of the artists, obviously. Um, like it was those types of artists, like I I don't know. I think it was like Paris Hilton or something on there. I don't even know if
Ah.
she sang, but like holy shit, dude, like that was everywhere at that time. Like
Oh,
everywhere you looked, there was pictures of Paris Hilton, her big ass feet
Paris
walking through
Hilton.
the street like a duck. Like just going in there like just like it's,
Oh my
but
God.
that was like it. That
Mhm.
was it. Everything else, like I must say, my sister had good taste. Everything else was like Bullet for My Valentine, My Chemical
Yeah.
Romance, It to Kill was great shit. Hollywood Undead. And I was like into that at like the age of 8. And it was great, dude. I remember like going to school in the bus and shit, and I was always like the outcast. So
Mm.
I was always
Yeah.
a metal outcast. Like holy shit,
The
from such a
weird kid.
yeah, yeah. I was always a weird kid, but God help you if you fucked with me. I'll put you in your place very quickly, especially on the playground. And
Exactly.
yeah, dude, like I was never a bully, but like I would pay to beat up bullies. So that was fun. That,
Dude, you were a
that
bully hunter, bro. You were a bully hunter.
yeah, yeah, basically, yeah, yeah. Could call it that. That was fun, because like bastards deserved it. So I mean, yeah.
No, that's
But
great.
back at school, dude, like I used to listen to all this shit like on the bus to school, and everybody was just looking at me weird because all they would hear from my headset was like
Right.
like everything like what the fuck's this dude listening to? And I was like jamming over there in the corner by myself. I get to
Yeah.
school, I put my flip and my work aside, and I like start writing songs.
Mhm.
I started working on songs that I heard or changing shit up, like just what like kids do.
Oh shit, you
Um,
know what? That's a pretty important detail too. So you said you were already writing like lyrics at that point, right? When you were in like elementary school or
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
I was in like grade 3 when I started writing lyrics and stuff.
Dude,
That
started
was yeah,
early. Let's go.
yeah, yeah. So like it was very shitty at that time. Like
Well, yeah.
most of it didn't make sense. Like
No.
I was fitting in words in places that were like, if I had to read this shit now, I'd be like, fuck. But it's yeah, like I I got into it and went off, went back in, got off again, went in. So it
Mhm.
was like on off situation. But
Right.
I feel now like, especially after writing this album, like I've got like the gears greased. So
Yes, exactly.
I
You got the system warmed
feel
up. You got the oil in there.
yeah, yeah.
WD-40 is just sprayed in the
It's like
creases.
yeah, yeah. It's like the first song on the album is Wash Out. Okay, you can hear how shitty quality that song is. All right,
Mhm.
and I don't use the equipment, no, no, nothing. I do it all on the cell phone. And you can hear like how crappy that song sounds. And the last song was Stitches,
Mm.
and the song that I just released now the other day was Riot, and
Right.
you can actually like hear the progression in uh lyric style, in vocals, in recording and mixing and mastering. Because like
Right.
every single song I've learned something new.
Which is good.
Basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's awesome.
Learning something every day. That's what it's all about. It's like at least you're learning and staying dedicated. Like many days I felt like, I don't want to do this. Like I just want to
Yeah,
lay down and just
exactly.
wither
Got
away.
to lay down, got to take a rest, got to breathe a little bit. I get it, man, because I do that all the time. So, as you were kind of getting older, you were into skating for a little bit, which I think like at that time a lot of people were doing too. It was like Green Day and skating, and if you weren't skating
Yeah.
outside, you were playing Skate 3 or some shit. So like
Yeah. Tony
what I
Hawk's and all that.
yeah, what I love to ask along the way is if you had the opportunity, would you be getting back into that, possibly doing a YouTube channel and doing skate montages and shit? Like,
Um, my one buddy, he's coming to my life recently. Is actually a guy I grew up with, and he's actually been getting me back onto the skateboarding and stuff. And I've been posting some random clips of us skating and stuff on TikTok and Instagram. Because I mean, I don't know. I guess you could skate to trap metal.
you can
So it's
indeed.
like, yeah, so it's like, what why don't we check out with the skaters? Because like that's also where we come from, We come
Mhm.
from like a skater, hardcore, fucking just, kids on the block type of
Yeah.
crowd.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we actually started thinking about that the other day at the skate park. We're like, yo, we should actually get some more skaters into this. So we started filming some of our tricks and all that, and like
Mhm.
adding one of my tracks in it. And looks good.
Yeah,
Looks like
dude.
something
Hell
that
yeah.
we could get.
Yeah. And dude, I'm hyped to see where that goes. Do you guys have a YouTube channel for it yet, or are you still working on that part?
No, we don't have a YouTube channel for it. Right now, it's basically like just for randoms. I don't think like I've gotten to the point where I can like do proper tricks yet.
Yeah.
I've been off of it for quite a few years, so I got back onto it a couple of weeks ago, and like I couldn't do shit. But
Mhm.
now, I've kind of gotten back into some of the tricks and stuff. Still rusty as hell,
Yeah.
but
Naturally.
yeah, I'm back
No.
into it now. Just cruising. It's mainly for fitness because like I hate the gym. I don't like gymming. It sucks. I feel that's like just, yeah. I don't know. Like if other people want to do it, great, good for them. Like they're
Mhm.
dedicating themselves and motivated, great. That's what matters. But
Yeah.
gymming just ain't for me.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
it's not.
not neither for me, man. My gym is this room, the same room that also doubles as my studio, as my work office and my bedroom. Like it's also my gym. So it works out in the end. I like it. And it makes it to where that's like $30 less here in the US a month that I'm having to spend just to go somewhere and hang out with a whole bunch of people, which is like ooh, you know, ripping the
And he goes
muscle
to check
or
himself out over there in the mirror, and like pulls his little straps over there, and expose some tit. Like, I love
yeah,
that.
seriously. So like not like obviously whenever you're not willing to discuss concerning this topic, because this is like a more serious topic regarding your legacy and stuff. Um I know you were telling us earlier about how you were into skating, but whether it was the current situation you've been in for quite some time financially, or the substance issues that you've been having before, like what can you tell the audience about like
Well,
that whole process for you and like how you've gone out or how you're trying to improve things for yourself? Because I think above all else, if you're willing to share, that's something really important for some people to hear.
yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that, and I'm definitely open to speak about anything like that. I feel that whatever I've lived could hopefully maybe help somebody else. Just
Exactly.
hope, hopefully they don't like go down the same stupid shit. Um, but yeah, when I was younger, yeah, around 15. started getting into like chemical drugs and shit. All started from stuff like cat and cocaine and ketamine, and ketamine is like horse tranquilizer and shit.
Right.
We used to snort that shit, dude. And eventually, when I was about 17, then it started to get a little bit more to the hardcore side, which was meth and heroin and, like Xanax and
Yeah.
just anything and everything. If you put it on the table, I would do it. I'll do all of it and I'll do a little bit of each, like,
Yeah.
uh,
Simultaneously.
yeah, yeah. It's like I just never gave a shit about myself, but I never really had any like vision of what I wanted to do. I didn't know what was what. I was just like, you know what, I kind of don't like life.
Hmm.
Um, it's just like, yeah, things just sucked. So I got to the point where it was just like really down deep, doing just a bunch of like copious amounts of drugs. And it got to a point where I was like living in this little trap house for a few months and just not going outside. It was just like drugs, drugs, drugs the whole time. Um, it wasn't the best times of my life, but it did teach me a lot. Um, and then one day, when I was about 20, yeah, earlier on my 20th year, um, I I had the most shittiest high and come down like of my life, and I just realized that like this is not good. Everything
Right.
is just a cop out, and like I took everything and I just chucked it down the toilet, and I just swore not to do that shit again. Um,
Good.
so yeah, I've been clean from heroin and meth now for like 6 years,
Good.
around there, 5, 6 years. I
So
had a
you're
relapse.
26?
No, I'm 23 now.
Oh, 23 now.
Five,
Jesus.
let me check this. 19, 22. Sorry, 4 years. 4 years. My bad.
No, you're
Um,
good.
yeah. So yeah, like I've had a relapse here and there with like other shit,
Hmm.
um, cocaine and stuff like that. But so like eventually the next day I realized like why I stopped doing all this shit in the first place, the way it made you feel. And I found myself again recently in a bit of a spot, uh, like you raised the whole week
Hmm.
away, don't remember shit. Um, the week's gone. Like nobody knows what happened. All we know is that we did way too much.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. And it got a bit hard, dude. I'm actually surprised we're still alive. Well, not in jail or not in hospital.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, that's like the main story, dude. Is like I just woke up and I tossed it all down the toilet.
Yeah. Which is
Just
good.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah. It's awesome. And
I
I'm glad you
I
decided to
didn't want to
break
go
away.
to rehab, like because I do smoke weed and I love drinking beer and all that. So rehab ain't gonna allow that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like, so I still do smoke weed. I still drink beer and shit. It's just I don't do other shit.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, like rehabs, especially over here, you can still get meth in rehabs. You can still get buttons in rehabs.
Right.
So it doesn't help going to a rehab. It's
Hmm.
really it's not uh yeah, it's not worth it, not worth the pain, not worth anything.
No. And like one question I do want to ask regarding all of this. You said there were like a couple lessons that you learned during your cycle in getting through these substances, using these substances, which like a lot of these, like I would never think any one human being would be capable of doing simultaneously. So like this is a new level, like whoa. Um, but like I think the audience would definitely want to hear like the lessons that you learned getting through this using these substances and coming out the other side? Like, what were some of the lessons that you learned?
Well, drugs, dude, that just screws everything up, man. I've lost so many people in my life. I've, messed up shit with family. It's just a screw up, dude. Like, the things would have been different, you know. Um,
Hmm.
Probably would have still been engaged, you know. Shit wouldn't have just popped off. Like, I probably would have still had the life that I wanted when I had it.
Right.
But it's like drugs rip everything from you, dude,
Yeah.
including your mental health, your sleep, your creativity. Like, drugs don't make you cooler, it doesn't make you better, it doesn't make you more creative. If your favorite artists and shit were doing drugs, it doesn't mean that you need to go out of your way and go do drugs to become like them. Fuck that. If anything, be better than them and stay away from the shit. Like uh, walking down a path like that, I mean, has left me with permanent like medical shit. I mean, it's not cool being a dude like 23 years old and like, body's kind of fucked. And all you can do is make music, like so yeah, right now I'm just appreciating the time I have and time I've had
Hmm.
and the people I've met and lost. It's just the main thing about all the lessons at the end of the day, the main answer that it falls down to is just don't fucking do drugs.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what. If you can stay away from weed, great. Don't smoke weed. Don't drink. Don't anything. You don't need substance.
No.
The only time you need substance is when you're an addict, and
Hmm.
that that's when you've lost.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, I've been pretty good even with just nicotine. Like there were 6 months straight where I had a vape before, and this is just speaking for controlled addiction or whatever. It's a process for everybody. Everybody can be addicted. And I
Yeah,
mean, really the only difference for me is that I would say I've had controlled addiction with nicotine, but
yeah,
like the moment a buddy of mine got this for me, I've just been vacuuming the shit. You've seen me take a couple hits during session. I'm just like,
yeah.
it's a process, man.
Uh,
And it's
I'm,
especially with these
I'm
things.
pretty sure you can see how much I'm smoking. I smoke about 2 packs of cigarettes a day. So
Yeah,
like I smoke a ton, dude. It's
right.
crazy. Like if I don't smoke, yo, I start getting all agey.
Yeah, no, for real. I get that completely. And if anything, ladies and gentlemen, if you do need help and if you are looking to rehabilitate, we will be putting some numbers down below. That way you can reach out to these hotlines, get the help you need, get the help you want. And I will even myself be looking into some links for numbers local to Cape Town. That way, if you have the opportunity, if you have the resources and you're wanting to, you can go ahead and reach out because addiction is not a fun thing.
No.
I mean, you can even get addicted to weed, people. It really
Yeah.
just it's more or less like it's a less toxic obsession.
Yeah.
And I would say that getting addicted to weed, getting used to like just smoking from a piece, right? And then eventually moving to a gravity bong, I would still say that's kind of an addiction when you're like
Yeah.
not able to not smoke and you gotta get more powerful paraphernalia to smoke bigger doses and stuff, going from basically a 9 millimeter to a 50 cal as far as the caliber and as far as the dosage. It's the same thing. So if you're
Yeah.
looking to get some help, we will be having some links down below. And by all means, Shawn, I do appreciate you deciding to share with us that information because it's important for people to hear over and over again that, well, drugs are bad, drugs are terrible, and especially ketamine, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, like all that shit. But I can only imagine that most of the reason that you ended up doing that is like just because of how dangerous Cape Town can be and just the culture there, everything going on is just a lot more primitive. There's a lot less to do to make yourself quote successful or to quote make a living. Which that's I completely understand with that regard. Um, so as we continue moving and continue learning your story, which so far I know it's pretty late over there for you, but I do really
That's
appreciate your
all good,
time.
bro. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna be up for a while.
Right. As we're continuing forward, I definitely wanted to touch on that Corey Taylor interview you mentioned because I have a feeling I know about the one that you're talking about. He's talking about like
Yeah,
early on how he was, couch surfing with his grandma or his mom,
yeah,
like
yeah,
a relative of some sort, and the music was always there. So
yeah,
through this, through that session, I'm sure that music, for what it was, for what it's worth, and when you were able to kind of like surface down to earth per se, um, I'm sure that music was there the whole time for you, which is always a great thing and just something to kind of because I mean everything was sound. That's a
yeah,
Silent Planet album, but it's also a statement if you believe in the golden ratio and like the science of sound waves and stuff. Like basically everything that we touch and know is consistent of sound waves. They're just more complex sound waves. And it's really cool to understand that that could easily be the reason, the science behind why music helps us all connect, interconnect, and just become one, at least for a fraction of a second. But
yes,
with that in mind, you were going through that process, you got out, or at least you were like working on getting out of that process. And at the age of 12, you were wanting to start a band. That's what I have written down over here because that's what I've been
yeah.
doing is just writing down notes. It just ends up being more productive. um, so like at the age of 12 you're wanting to start a band, like how deep in the process were you with these band projects? Do you have like names for them? Did you have like albums and EPs thought out? Like let's hear the story on this, that way your future band lineup can be like, oh shit, yeah, he's been doing this for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, like I mean, I've like I said, I've been in and out of little bands and stuff. It was always a case of members just coming and going, but we managed to get like a couple songs out and all that. One of them was still on the internet. It's called Surrounded. Um, I think it was Spawn the Dead. That was what I called myself back then.
Mm,
Um, yeah, Spawn the Dead because it sounded very close to Shawn Redelinghuys.
right.
Yeah, that yeah, it's cringe as hell. But um, yeah, like I managed to get a couple songs going. Some of the local bands over here, they were kind enough to let me do like a feature track with them on stage. So I have definitely played live before.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah, yeah, no, it's the best feeling on earth, dude. I mean, like people think drugs are good. Try being on a stage, bro.
Try being on a stage with
That's
local
the shit.
bands.
I love the stage.
Yeah,
Stage
it's
is
that's
great.
awesome, man. Like shout out to Up Sulfur because that's like my one experience, my one positive experience so far being up on stage. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the band or just like familiar with the black and deathcore genre because it's exploding right now without a doubt.
I love Black and
But
Death.
Up Sulfur, they did a small headlining run. They came to Scottsdale last August when I was still living in Arizona. And it's
Yeah,
crazy to
yeah.
think that's going to be 2 years ago, starting with January, which is like right around the corner, people.
Dude,
I
time
hope you've,
flies.
yeah, I hope you've been enjoying the year so far, everybody, for what it's worth, except for the Russia Ukraine bullshit. Because that's always just so demotivating. It's like we might go
Yeah.
to World War III any day now. It sucks. But I remember being up on stage with them because they have the title track from their last EP, and they didn't know all of their songs. So they're like, do y'all want us to do an encore?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah." What should we do? Oblivion. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just play that again. Can someone help us up with vocals on the chorus? I'm like, yeah. And I jumped up with them. I did the whole chorus with them. It was so fucking
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, it was great. It was so fun. And then on top of that, Ricky Hoover, formerly of Suffocate, he's like, hey, we had some pretty sick
I
vocals up here
love
for a
that.
second. Yeah,
I
Ricky
love
Hoover's
that.
great.
That
Such a
is
good,
definitely a great inspiration on some of my growls and shit, dude. On my vocals, Ricky is definitely an inspiration from way back when.
hell yeah, dude. That's awesome to hear. And especially like, yeah, shout out to Ricky Hoover, man, because he's an absolute sweetheart. He's like gotten so bulky and beefed up. He's all tatted up and shit. He's got a
That's
family
big.
now. Yeah, like he freaking Angus sirloin steak over here, okay? Like
Yeah.
Jesus, man, the guy's beefed up. But That's probably the one experience I can share up until this point, just because, like, that it just doesn't work out some like that sometimes. Sometimes security swarms up and they're like, hey, get off the stage, and they like rip you off stage. So it's whatever,
That is the point
sucks.
where I kick security out.
Mm.
I allow fans on stage. I don't care. I do allow them on stage. I mean, if you want to stage dive, bro, stage dive. Just don't come grab my mic out of my hands. Otherwise, I'm gonna knock you off. Like, but like, I mean, do your thing, dude. Just stay out of my like bubble, so that
Hmm.
nothing goes wrong.
Right,
But
exactly.
otherwise, climb on stage, do your thing. I know the stage is a place for the artist, like don't come up there and take a selfie with your fucking phone. Screw that. Um, Your phone will end up in the pit. But like, come up there, do your thing, run up and down, jump off or hype up, whatever. Just don't screw with any of the equipment or any of the members on stage. Then
Yeah.
everything's great.
That's fair. Yeah. And I did have an experience earlier this year over at the Basement East, which is a venue in downtown Nashville. And well, that's kind of how the band treated it. The very aggressive though, wasn't necessary. That's a completely different story though. And I wonder if I'm ever going to provide the context on that. But if I do, it might be in a video here soon. It was not great. It was not nice. Like, even regarding what you just said, really, really aggressive approach they did. But anyways, um, so I mean, we're learning about like all the various band projects that you were in. You got one of them that has like one or two songs out on the internet. So if anything, regarding everything so far, you said there was a project called Schlicknir, and that's like
That
really
is,
what, yeah, it's like really what helped you get into vocals. So
yeah.
like, I don't even know, man, if you had the opportunity right here and now, obviously you would be doing like another slam band or like a deathcore project, right? If you had the opportunity.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, for sure. Like I actually want to get quite a few projects started up. Right now, I've just started up another two projects on the side. One's like a real classical pop rock type of vibe. And then the other one is like a little peep type of vibe.
okay,
So
interesting.
I want to try and get into like all the different kinds of music, but definitely slam brutal death metal and trap metal is definitely the two main ones.
Hell yeah, man. So as we kind of like wrap up, I would say the first half of the podcast session, this is something that I've been doing a lot recently, for bands and artists, the members of bands, etc. What I want to do is I want to pluck off of you five different characters in these categories. Either an artist, an album, or a person. Could be a philosopher, could be a parent, could be anybody that has helped you get on the path that you've been on, has helped you come to this point, forge Vulgr, and really get started with everything. Go ahead and give me five characters. Take it away, sir.
But um, yeah,
There's a lot.
me, myself, and I, me and me. Here's your five characters.
Those are
Me,
five
myself,
characters.
and I, me and me. Yeah, they're like I can't really say that anybody else has really been involved with the Vulgr project,
Mhm.
especially from its start. That was just something that came to be through me, really.
Right.
So that was just my point of realization, basically. And that's when it all just started. I mean, this shit was like 5 months ago. So
Okay.
yeah. So Vulgar's only 5 months old. The songs were written like before already. Um, the lyrics and stuff, like just sitting when I was very high on come downs and like just needed to try and keep my head straight. And I started writing all of these lyrics and shit down. And that's basically what I took and put into these beats and stuff now. Um, but yeah, everything regarding with Olga, um, yeah, I can't say like anybody's helped me get up to the point where it is now, except for people obviously online and on the internet,
Right.
helping out and supporting and sharing, using the sounds, stuff like that. Um, but right now, where Vulgr is now, I do have like this little team that I've made. So
Mm.
I've got a photographer who's like who's got like nice equipment and all that. They can take music videos and everything. We even got a drone with cameras and shit like that. So
Sick.
that's great. We're gonna start doing some of that soon. I've got a very good friend of mine, Barney, who helps out with clothing and stuff. It all goes through her, and like all of my merch is going to be running through her. There's a company called Scarecrow Kin. It's just opened up on Facebook, still getting the artwork and everything done now. But right for now, it's going to be local supply only until we open up the online shop. So for now, it's just going to be local. I'm thinking of opening up a Teespring account and all that, just to get things out overseas.
Yeah.
But like right now, my main focus with the merch is local, obviously,
Mhm.
because the shows and stuff are going to be done local. Like I've got a show now next year, 7th of January. So surprisingly, it's at a decent venue. I thought I was going to start out with some shitty ass venue, but it's a good one. So that's great.
Sweet.
And there's some good bands lined up. So it's definitely going to be very, very interesting. And
Awesome.
yeah, get some merch on the stand over there.
Yeah. Cool.
Sort it out and started from here, and then build it up from there and start getting it overseas to everybody else who's interested.
Absolutely. And I mean, I definitely would be interested. That sounds super fun. So, if not like any specific people who have like kind of helped you along the way, what I would want to ask is like maybe five bands or artists that you are constantly listening to right now, maybe a favorite band of all time, maybe a favorite vocalist of all time, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I've actually got a few, dude. Definitely number one vocalist and inspiration is Corey Taylor for sure. That dude's great. I mean, everything about him, what he does in the music industry, what he does for the music industry, and just everything around Slipknot and Corey Taylor's business is great. The next person I'd like to mention is Chris Franzak. Shout out to Chris Franzak from Attila. That dude, bro, has like just his music has taught me the subtle art of not giving a fuck, and that has gotten me through so much bullshit in life. I'll tell you that right now, dude. Back then, I was like eating shit and licking up vomit for everybody. It's like screw that. Now, like,
Yeah.
I was like in your face, like screw that. Um, yeah, so definitely Corey Taylor and Chris Franzak. Um, that would be for inspiration, business side of things, business mind. Um, yeah, definitely those two guys. Music recently is obviously a lot of hard shit. Um, I've recently gotten into this band called Flesh Digest.
Flash
They are
Digest.
awesome. I love it. Very hardcore. New band, I think.
You
And
were, yeah.
I have been listening to a lot of Ghost Man and Suicide Boys, bro. Suicide Boys is definitely the top. I love Suicide Boys. Those motherfuckers saved me, bro. Like that, yeah. Scrim and Ruby. It would be great if they could ever come across this podcast, but yeah, those dudes saved my life
Hell yeah, man.
for sure.
So we got so far Corey Taylor, Chris Franzak, Flesh Digest, for band, Ghostman and Suicide Boys. Do you have like
Yeah.
any albums that you've been bumping since that backpack that you still listen to today?
Um, shit.
And see, that's the
Albums like
response I like to get because then now I'm digging.
yeah, it's like it's these are very hard answers, because like I listen to so much and I love so much like from the music, it's like I listen to a lot of Juice World, just Lil Peep, you know, even Dax, bro. Dax is a great rapper. He's emerging now heavily on TikTok, and I've fallen in love with his song, "Suffocate" or "What Suffocation."
Mm,
That is great. There's some real words in that shit, dude. Like you can relate to that so fucking hard.
sick. Yeah. And that's more than enough as far as inspirations and recommended artists. Um, and I don't know. I think one other question I would like to ask before we move into the next session. This is going to be a bigger question. I don't know how involved you are in the rap slash trap metal world, but as Vulgr is developing as an artist, you're getting some traction on TikTok, you're getting more involved with the community, with the scene. Um, you mentioned already Dax is one of the developing artists in the scene that's like popping off. He's growing. Um,
Yeah.
what is a pro for you about the trap metal scene and what is a con? So like what is something that's really good about the trap metal scene and what's something that you would want to see improve, whether on your own terms or on the terms of the community at large?
God damn, that's a hard question. Wow. Uh, bro, like, as a person who hasn't really been doing this for too long,
Hmm.
I wouldn't really consider myself a trap artist, you know. I'm just a guy who likes to make beats and write music, you know. That's my main thing about me. But trap, like, I don't know. All the trap that I come across, like Numbskull and uh, you know, that what's it? Shit, there's this other guy in the UK. Oh my word.
Did I mention him earlier?
No, I didn't. Shit, man, I was listening to him earlier. Fuck. Like, see, this is like how my brain works. Oh, kids, don't do drugs.
You
Um,
don't need drugs to forget things. That's completely fine. Like we
uh,
dude, I'll say this for sure on that statement. Like everybody is like having to focus on so much and pay attention to so much simultaneously 24/7 three
yeah,
sixty
dude,
five.
there's
like
so much
so
just
much
going in the
shit.
whole time.
Yeah, so much
Always,
shit that
every
you're having
day.
to digest and just shit out per se. So
I know
don't worry about it.
it's like overwhelming, bro.
Hmm.
But I'll get to that guy's name now. But so far it's like Ghostman, Numbskull. Um, yeah, you got quite a few great trap metal artists, you know, or like demon core artists. Even just like you're playing up scream rap. But
Hmm.
I don't really see any like heavy faults in the genre. Like I love it.
Hmm.
It's great. Got all kinds of different songs for all kinds of different moods. If you feel like listening to something about killing somebody, you have it. You know, if you want to listen to somebody like just talking about having a good time drinking and just having a party, then you have that too. You know, want a sad song, you have a sad song.
Yeah.
Even like Triple X, you know, X.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, even some of his shit was like sad emo trap alternative, you know, and I mean that falls under it, you know. So I mean it you have all these different types of trap metal artists and all of them are just it's great. Like it doesn't all talk about the type of shit that your artists like Drake and shit will talk about, you know.
No.
Like it's just not the complete mainstream type of music, but definitely is a great genre. It's like metal for me, bro. It's got no flaw. It's got no flaw. Like I can't exactly point one out, you know. Like
Right.
they could have more styles of 808s maybe. So we can have like more different types of sounding beats, you know, like so that we all don't sound the fucking same. But yeah, it's not really limited to much, and it's a genre that a person can do by themselves, and it's something that you could climb in, especially being such a new genre. Basically,
Yeah,
it hasn't been going for a very long time. It's been going for like 5 years,
maybe. Yeah.
something like that. It all started with Ghost Man and Suicide Boys, and all those guys were like the main gateway for it, basically. And it was like, boom, holy shit, the world just went crazy.
Yeah, seriously. And I think one thing I do want to ask too, concerning like your growing role, perhaps in a similar world of trap metal, but you said you don't consider yourself a trap metal artist, so maybe you consider yourself like a metal screamer or like a metal rapper, a rapper in general with like gritty beats and shit. Like, what would you classify Vulgr as then?
Um, Vulgar Vulgar itself is
Hmm.
definitely uh, alternative trap rap metal, I
Mm.
guess. I'd definitely let it fall under that, yeah.
Sick.
But I myself, I don't I don't know shit about rapping. Again, I just
Mm.
write words, rhyme, and make sense. That's it.
Right.
Um, I couldn't consider myself a rapper. I can't freestyle. I would shit myself on the first line. Like on that first bar, I would already either gag out or say something gay or like, yeah, you're not gonna want me to carry on after that. Like so. So it's like, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I don't really consider myself to really feel like a musician or trap metal artist.
You're just
I
an
learned
artist.
how to scream and growl when I was young, and this is what I do now.
Yeah, you're a heavy vocalist. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, that's as far as it gets, I guess. Like, I mean,
Only for now.
you can get technical about it and be like, yeah, producer and songwriter and all that. But if you think about it, end of the day, bro, I'm making this shit on myself, bro.
Hmm.
I'm no producer. I don't
It
know
starts
shit.
somewhere, man.
I'm self-taught. I didn't go to like, music school or anything. I just got my shit off of tutorials and just research.
Yeah, but you
So
put in
it's
the
like,
time.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts somewhere, man. Maybe there will be like vulgar media someday in which, like, and this is just
I really
absolutely
hope so.
spitballing. This is not like, huh, you should do this. Like, all up to you, man. But like,
Yeah, yeah,
I
sure.
can easily see vulgar media being like a production studio or even like that YouTube channel we were mentioning before that
That'd
combines
be sick.
vulgar. Like, yeah,
That'd
dude.
be sick. Holy shit. That'd be
Mhm.
sick.
Vulgar media, man. Vulgar street crew on top of that. Like go by the name
Vulgar
Vulgar on
street
stage is like
crew.
I am Vulgar. And then just fucking yeah, exactly. And then just have a YouTube channel with skate montages in monochrome or black and white filters and just like, whoa, we're about to fuck shit up. Like kick flipping and shit.
Yeah.
Get screaming the Suicide Boys on there someday. Who knows, man? It's all about daydreaming.
Oh,
You gotta
bro.
daydream at
If,
first.
if Scrim or Ruby had to ever be on one of my tracks, bro, holy shit.
I'm
Holy
sure that's
shit.
easier than you think it is
That
too, because those
that
dudes are
is
pretty humble.
dream made over there, bro. Like right that's it. Like boom. I think I'll
Mhm.
probably freeze on stage, and that's not something I do.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
be like, shit, it's Scrim!
It's good. Holy shit.
And fucking Ruby would just come out all ploppity 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 plop. Fucking
Rubbity
release.
dubbity. Get the
His
fuck
lyric
away
style is
from
so
me.
great, dude.
No, that's great. It's
I
iconic,
love
man.
it.
Whether and like for me personally, out of absolute transparency, because this is a Sean Deshawn talk right now. Um,
Yeah.
Not the biggest fan of Suicide Boys. If you've ever heard of an artist called Exo Society, there are two rappers on there called Kill Bill the Rapper and Rav, and then there's Square, and there's a couple others. They do like kind of lo-fi hip hop rap. So if you
All right.
haven't checked that out, I'll definitely send you some shit because that's my
Yeah,
beat.
please,
But
please. Yeah.
absolutely, man. Like
Do that.
Suicide Boys. Yeah, absolutely, man. Guaranteed. Like Suicide Boys, Ghostmane, iconic. But
Great.
my only problem with Ghostmane is that during like his main rise, he had a whole bunch of merch on a site and he was scalping the prices on the merch for like a black t-shirt with a sigil on it. The shirt would be like $65. And I'm like,
Oh,
nah.
shit. No, no,
On,
that's crazy. Like, the t-shirts and stuff that I've got on Teespring now, but it's just not set up, you know. So like,
right,
I don't think a person could place an order because I haven't got my banking details or anything in there yet.
right.
But it's already said like $23 or some shit, and even that for me is like ripping off people, you know. But
Mm,
that's what the site kind of needs to push, and basically all I'm making off of that t-shirt is like $4, basically. So
right.
I don't mind, you know, like me making nothing on there. I will set it down if, you know, like the distributor and all that is overcharging, you know. So
Right.
for the person's sake, I'd push it down because I don't think clothing or anything really
Mm,
should be as expensive as it is. Um, so even $23 for me is it's a ridiculous price to pay for a t-shirt. I'd
mm.
rather have like $12, you know. It's a t-shirt,
Yeah.
fuck that.
And that's
It's
the
like
crazy thing too, man. Like these days, 90% of the bands out there will at least charge like 35 and shipping for their shirts. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then like you get up to Drake level or you get up to Ghostmane level. And I mean, like I haven't checked Ghostmane's merch. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna double check my shit right now live, technically. Um, hold on. I'm gonna see like how much his merch is because this was also like 4 years ago when I was last on his site, and I'm like, nah, man, fuck this. So let's go ahead and double check this shit real quick. So okay, now he's at decent prices. Okay, now he's kind of evened out. He's got like a logo hoodie that's $55 for just a print on the front. But I'll tell you what, man, a lot better than what it used to be. So I
yeah.
correct myself, people, live here on the podcast. He doesn't scalp his prices anymore. But I'll fucking tell you what, back in the day, dude, like $85 for a t-shirt with his like sigil on it, and that's it. I'm like, fuck off. Like, no. And it could be the merch producer, it could be the merch distributor. Who
Could
knows?
be. You never
Like, who
know.
knows? But at the same time, I know they have at least some like authority over the merch that they're distributing because they have to pay money for that, for the distribution, the manufacturing fee, all that shit. I know that he had some play in that. So it's like, okay, I see you, Ghostmane. I'm not buying your merch, at least not for now. But now he's better. So live on the podcast, I've corrected myself. As we prepare to wrap up the first session officially, just got one more big question for you because we've been talking about it here and there. Just speaking for like the situation that you're in, the unemployment rate in Cape Town. And right before session, we talked about a headlining article that I read about 2 years ago amidst the I would say the first third quarter of the pandemic as far as its like longevity, its duration up until now, which it's still long going and is probably going to be a thing forever. So people just take care of yourself, be wary of those around you. And if you're asked to wear a mask in a place, just wear a fucking mask. Unless if you had both
People still wear
vaccines.
masks.
What's up?
Do people still wear masks?
Sometimes, yeah. We don't have to anymore. Now it's more like a social thing. Like if you don't wear a mask and you're like you're a piece of shit. But
Oh, okay.
even just last year, man, people were still pretty hardcore about that. They're like, okay, if you're gonna go into a grocery store, you better wear a fucking mask or we're kicking you out. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's
No,
interesting.
no,
And yeah.
that's still chill, yeah.
But like I read the article, I mentioned it to you, and I think you kind of like roughly reconfirmed it for me. And we don't need to we don't need to explain the context because it's a very, very graphic to talk about and very unfortunate to know and acknowledge. But I wanted to go ahead and get your perspective on like basically Cape Town, South Africa. like as far as the culture and everything there. Like, because this is the first time we're talking to an artist from anywhere in Africa. So I kind of wanted to get like your perspective on how things are going on right now in your country. And if you want to simplify it, break it down to like two or three pros, two or three cons. Like what's going good, what's going hella wrong down there, if you're willing to talk about that.
Bro, like there's so many things going wrong. So I've been in just about most of the corners here in South Africa. It's especially in Cape Town. Cape Town, I've been in just about every corner.
Mm,
And the city side, the sub the suburbs, anywhere where there's people is dangerous.
mm,
There are no jobs. The unemployment rate is definitely high. There's a lot of people just walking over the border, just taking jobs. They don't have any proof of ID or nothing or citizenship. And the people over here, they don't care. They do just hire them and pay them minimum wage, because it's cheaper. It's easier for them. So we have a lot of foreigners definitely like taking up the jobs. So that's definitely some of the causes, like um, poverty is definitely a big thing. You have different areas over here, what we call quarter camps. Um, it's overridden. It's very filthy. Nothing works. Very poor healthcare, police. I mean, shit, bro. If you call the cops over here, yeah, let me not even go there, bro. Like, I mean, the food delivery services will show up to your house quicker than the cops do.
really?
It's crazy over here. Our own government steals from us, like amounts that they get caught for and then not get any punishment for.
That
It's so
sucks.
corrupt. It's so crazy. Uh, Presidents over here are stealing money from the country and the citizens, and then like buying a new sports car or upgrading a new room on the house, shit like that. And
That's
everybody
messed
sees
up.
it, but nobody does anything about it. It's and I don't give a shit. I'll speak up on all this shit because it's like it's in front of me.
Mm,
Like if nobody else is gonna speak about it, then I will, because like this is what it is. This is what we're dealing with, and it's not fucking pretty. And I mean, dude, like right now, okay, it's 10 o'clock at night. If I had to go walk down the street, yeah, I'll probably run into some trouble. And I mean, this is a good area. It's not even like the shitty part, but it's still dangerous nonetheless. Like you can't do shit unless you're in a group or, yeah, you. It's just not a great place to be. It's unpleasant. It's very uncomfortable situations, and like it's inconvenient. I think the main word that I'm looking for is inconvenient. Living in South Africa is a big inconvenience.
mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's definitely something for perspective people. So, count your blessings and especially us folks here in the US, like appreciate what you got because could be a lot worse. And I mean, Shawn here understands that more than enough with everything going on in Cape Town. I did have one more question too, just talking about Cape Town local culture and just like talking about South Africa in general, because I know Ninja and Yolandi from Die Antwoord
Yeah.
are also from
Yeah.
there. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, are they kind of like the hometown heroes for you guys right now, or?
Well, not yeah. For a lot of the locals around over here, especially the Afrikaans community,
Mhm.
and the colored community. Like I know in America and other countries and stuff, saying colored is offensive, but over here, this is how we talk,
Mhm.
and this is what they call themselves too. This is the lingo here. So if anybody does get offended about that, then sorry for that.
Right.
But yeah, they're big among the color community and the shaded community, and on the Afrikaans side, and a lot because it is the Antwoord. I mean, Ninja used to call himself Zef, which means common, if translated in English over here. So
Oh,
a lot of the common crowd love their music too. So it's yeah, that's why they carry on the way they do. It's because it's actually common music. It's just
oh.
common. They are like the rednecks of South Africa. Basically.
That's
Like
funny.
I know some of the songs are good, like definitely. And the what they do is like what they do. That's on
Mm.
them, you know. It's they're making their shit work, you know. So respect to that. And they put in all the work and dedication, so that's great. Um, End of the day, they made a name for themselves, dude. So that's what matters, you know. And everybody's jamming to the shit, they're making it work. So there we go. Whether they portray themselves as a certain image or not, that is the image that they took on as their persona and made it work. So respect to that.
And what are your transparent thoughts and opinions on them? Or do you kind of see them as the Lady Gaga of Cape Town? You're just like, man, fuck them. Like,
Well, you do hear about them a lot over here, but I am more in the metal and rock side of the industry over here. So I do hear a lot more about the harder genres. They don't really pop up in my algorithm, if you want to put it that way.
right,
Um, so yeah, it's yeah, like my like crowd or community doesn't really listen to them or have anything to do with them in any way. Like
right.
they're not really supporters of the Antwoord. Um, but yeah, we mainly just stick to our just small group of metal gigs, like small metal gigs on the weekends and shit like that. Like we got this festival. Well, it's not really a festival. There's this thing called Metal for Africa. All right.
Mm.
And they host the Summerfest and Winterfest metal shows over here. It's only for one night, but it's still great. But those are some of the biggest shows that they have over here. It's great. They got Vulgr playing. They got all the good guys playing over here. I mean, it's great. They got Halvard, Vulgr, Peasant, all these local guys, and they fucking shut up on stage, man. It's great. It's awesome. Like they pushing, they just trying to keep going, you know.
It was pretty cool last year too to see that Volodymyr's Prometheus Infinity ended up like becoming number one, at least
Yeah,
like the premier weekend as far as new metal albums in Cape Town in South Africa. Like that
yeah,
was pretty
dude.
cool to see for sure.
Duncan and them are getting involved with so much. Like, I mean, I've known Duncan for a while.
Oh, you
Like
have?
yeah, yeah, dude. Like I've been listening to Vulgr like since I was about 13, 14. So this was still back in the like early years, and they're from Joburg, which isn't that far away. It's like 2 hour flight. So
Shit.
they come down here quite a few times. I've hooked up with them in like studio in Kill City Studios. And like just at gigs and stuff, and then I would go like talk to Chris or talk to Duncan at a show or some shit, and we'd just like talk a little bit of shit and then carry on with our night. Because I
That's
mean,
dope.
I'm a man of a few words, I don't keep a conversation going for hours and hours. It's just like, hey, how's it going, dude? This, and that, and then I'm not gonna like bother you and bombard you with words and shit. Like, carry on with your night and have a good time.
That's what this podcast is for.
Yeah, yeah, there we go, there we go. But yeah, fucking
But
shout out to Duncan for also being a great influence. Definitely his his interview really helped clear things up for me a lot, especially with the music industry and how things kind of work overseas with the gigging and touring and all that.
right.
So shout out to Duncan for that. You really cleared up a lot of shit for me. Thank you very much, dude, on that part. That interview was great, really helped out a lot. And then also the guitarist Chris
Yes.
Xanopoulos. Yes, his interview also helped clear a lot of shit out. Shout out to him too.
Mhm.
Fucking awesome.
No,
Like,
they seem like really
dude,
great people.
over this information that will stick forever. Like they really
Exactly.
cleared up. Like if people are into music and want to learn, especially if they're here from South Africa and want to learn how the overseas networks and shit work,
Mhm.
go and watch. Go and watch like interviews with
Mhm.
Duncan Bentley
Right.
and check out, see what he has to say, and that is like a very honest point of view. There's no bullshit. There's no
No.
flexing, no trying to be cool or nothing. It's just straight up. This is how it is, and this is how you need to make it work. You know.
Right. And like I think the most recent interview they did, I'm trying to remember this correctly. Wasn't it with like wasn't it on the Garza podcast or something? Chris Garza from Suicide Silence, or was it a different person? I forgot.
It's I don't know exactly who it was. I only watched it once,
Mhm.
but he was in the seat of a bus. Duncan was chilling.
Oh,
It was that one. It was like not nice and dark. He was in the bus seat, and he was busy chatting like that. That specific interview. That's the one that helped me out clear a lot of shit.
I'm
Like
thinking you might be talking about Digital Tour Bus then. I'm not completely sure, but like
it
you
it it could actually be that. It could actually be that.
right. No, that's really cool. And yeah, with that in mind, people, we will be right back because now I can put ads on the podcast. So we're just gonna pause for a second and we'll be back in a sec. And welcome back, people, to the Anatomy Podcast. So far, we've been learning plenty about Shawn here from Vulgr and soon to be other projects in the deep underground counterculture music world, specifically to Cape Town, South Africa. We've learned a lot about where he's from. We've learned about his story so far as a musician, as a human being, what got him into music. We got more than enough recommendations as far as the world that he's really trying to devote to. And what can I say, people? With this podcast, we officially start the story for the Anatomy Podcast as far as dissecting and diving into the rap slash trap metal world with his help. So now we ask the juicier questions. This is where the podcast kind of replaces the awkward in person, just like, how long have you been in a band? How is tour doing? Like all of that. We get all of that out of the fucking way and we do that on here instead. Because after all, when you're in person talking to these musicians, who knows how many other people have the same exact question. So people come here to the podcast to get these questions answered. But specifically for Shawn, we're quite a bit of ways away from where he is. Currently for him, it's 10:24 p.m. For me, it's 2:24 p.m. So the first question that I want to ask as a basic Wonder White bread white music enthusiast slash music journalist, I want to ask the question: how did you decide on the name Vulgr slash Vulgr X?
Uh, yeah, that's actually quite an easy one. Um, the reason why I decided on Vulgar is because, well, my vocabulary consists of a lot of F words, and you see, so yeah, like I am a vulgar person. I like to talk a bunch of shit when the time is right, you know, like it's time to talk shit, it's time to be serious. When I talk shit, then I really talk shit as if I had a PhD in that shit. Um, so so it's like, yeah, man, like I just talk about weird shit that will like make another person's gross out, or just go really dark and start telling dead baby jokes or some shit, like I am naturally a vulgar person when it comes to jokes or just the way I behave sometimes. So it's like that was the perfect sum up for me, like I had some names before, was first Spawn the Dead and low key steez, and then also introvert. But yeah, those never really stuck. And I just came around vulgar, and like I, I don't know what it is about putting an X in the name, but it's just so badass. So I just thought, slap an X over there. Fucking why not? I become a
Yeah,
Vin Diesel guy. Let's do it.
exactly.
And
With the Vin
yeah,
Diesel guy.
this is pull a Vin Diesel here, triple X, boom. And
I get what
like,
I get what
yeah,
you mean,
dude,
man.
that was just like that's kind of how I just got the name. It's like I'm a vulgar person because I've got to like make a name that resonates with me. So it's got to have something to do with me, some personal. So there we go. It's what is the first thing they'll notice about me when I walk into the club? Oh, that's a vulgar motherfucker. Listen to what's coming out of his mouth. Like
That's a
this,
vulgar motherfucker.
what joke did
Imagine.
he just tell us? Like it's gonna live in their head rent free, and it's not something that they're gonna want in there.
Right. And what the cool thing too is that even with just this blah blah blah, even with just this podcast session now, you can also say that Vulgr kind of alludes to the vulgar path that you were on for a little bit. Whether, at the end of the day, it
Yeah,
wasn't intentional. You weren't planning to
yeah,
stay in that. But like
yeah,
because of that, you ended up kind of being dragged through a vulgar life for a little bit, which is so unfortunate. But
yeah,
hey, you're here now. You've come out the other end. You got a redemption arc going on, as if it's some type of Cape Town local anime going on. And I mean, you're
yeah.
bringing the fucking heat now. So I mean, good for you, man.
Dude. I'm trying to just push as hard as possible. Again, like this is what I want for my life, and I want to be able to also grow this thing to a point where it at least helps other people and help them see certain things that I maybe didn't at the time.
Exactly.
And I do really want to get involved with charity cases and stuff eventually, or kids with cancer, or kids that suffer from autism, anything like that. Like I definitely want to get involved with those charities and communities and all that, and I want to be able to do my part and help out, bro.
Exactly. That's always good.
So
So,
those definitely need that push, and I'd love to be an influence to them too, like that.
mhm.
It's definitely a goal of mine.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And it's good to have ambitions and goals now that you have this project that you're attending to. You're wanting to get other band projects started along the way. And I wish you
Yeah,
the best of luck in getting those other band projects started. I want to hear that shit someday, bro. Like,
yeah,
first it was Volvadania. Now Shawn of Vulgr starts uh, like who the fuck knows? Obviously, it's a slam band, so it could be like vulgarectomy or some shit just to be goofy about it. Who knows? Who
some
knows,
fucking
bro?
neck convulsion.
Exactly, man. Like, who knows what the future may hold? But you also have had the opportunity already on your own terms, which not a lot of people can say, even here in the US. On your own terms, you have decided to release an album with barely anything, like just using stuff on your phone. So, later in session, if you want to, I would love to dig under the skin of Issues, your album that you just released, and maybe even dig under the skin of Riot. That way, we're completely caught up on the discography that is Vulgr X. But if
Yeah, for sure, man.
anything, I want to ask about Vulgr specifically. You got it started, very, very humble beginnings, utilizing BandLab or BandSound, what the app that you
Yeah,
had on your
bad
phone.
lad, yeah.
BandLab. Okay, cool. There's so many different ones now. Bandcamp, fucking
Yeah,
Soundtrap, like so
bad
many.
garage.
Yeah, GarageBand. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
garage. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you're good. You're good. It's like that. See, that's the thing too. You just get them switch back and forth, and that's probably a bootleg app somewhere that's completely free with ads for these just like clickbait, like monetized apps
Yeah.
and games and shit. But um, I wanted to ask, like, since the beginning, if there has been a consistent goal since the beginning, what has been the creative goal for Vulgr X? Like, what was the first plan? And up to now, what has kind of been consistent, or what is now the updated roadmap for this project and what it ends up accomplishing for you?
Dude, from the beginning, the plan was just to grow. That's it. It's just to grow and get the message out. I mean, even though my message ain't been put the best way possible, I mean, I'm human. I'm not perfect. Um, yeah. You don't like it, you try and write a song. uh,
You
like,
tell him. You tell him,
like,
Shawn.
yeah. It's like, where's your song, bro? But yeah, like, I I realized that I want to help people, dude. And if it can't be financially or some way, it will definitely be through something. And from like day one of this project, it's always been about laying my experiences down and my shortcomings, and you know, laying that shit down in hopes that somebody will see that and kind of learn from that lesson. You know, um, yeah, like on the album, which we'll get to eventually. It's got everything basically of the last 6 years of my life,
Right.
or 7 or 8 maybe even.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of parts from back then even still. So
Yeah. Right.
um,
Naturally. Just you telling your
yeah,
story and offering your perspective. Because, like, I will say that among all of the other perspectives that we've had so far in this podcast, to have one that has gone through the dirt, been through the vulgar path, as I mentioned before, with all the drugs and substance, like, above all else, you've been down in the fucking gutter and you've come out clean. You're doing better for yourself. So honestly, hands down, the best perspective we've had on the podcast. Someone who's been in a really, really dark place, who's in an area where a lot of other people too are in really, really dark places right now because of government, because of just the corrupt everything that's going on in Cape Town. It's important to count your blessings and
yeah,
appreciate what you got, even if it is crumbs. You know what I mean? Never like, and this is a saying of mine: always appreciate, but never settle, depending on the perspective and how you determine that, how you absorb that like a sponge of knowledge, right? That's on you. But always appreciate, never settle. Continue building up from the ground. Continue appreciating all your brothers, all your supporters, all of your
yeah,
lovers, even when it doesn't seem like it's worth it. You know what I mean? Or even if you're just crumb broke, appreciate the pennies that you can manage to scrape up along the way, but never settle. Get those dollars, get those
always appreciate.
Benjamins. Yeah. That's like one of the most important things that I've been um, thinking about recently, just every day, is always appreciate, but never settle. Because the moment you do settle, you become idle. You enter yourself
Yes,
in what could be a perpetual state of standoff and
yeah, you're
just
like stagnant.
stagnant. Exactly.
Yeah,
So, with that in mind, I love that we've had the opportunity to tell your story and have you on the podcast so far, because it's not every day since the beginning. In fact, we've never had anybody on the podcast with such a different perspective, which is really cool. So,
uh, I'm glad to be here, bro.
yeah, it's glad to have you on. Another Shawn, man. Shawn's got to stick together. um,
Yeah,
so I wanted to ask about next your album, because like we've covered the reason for the project's name, and we've kind of determined, because it's you, yourself, and you manning Vulgr X as the trap metal slash rap project. So
yeah,
we've got those two covered, and usually that's why it takes so longer, is because we have multiple members.
yeah,
So now, people, ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity to dig under the skin of Shawn's first major effort as a musician, as an artist, as a lyricist, as a rapper. So basically, I don't know if like you said you've already checked out some of the podcast episodes before, but the early on episodes did not have like the under the skin session integrated. At first, it was a
yeah,
completely
yeah.
separate thing, and then I said, why don't we just have it
Yeah,
as a segment on the podcast? So,
that was
with
very
what's up?
was very cool though. It was awesome though.
Oh,
Like
I
even though like you guys didn't go too much into like all of the detail and stuff. Overall, it was wholesome to listen to.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
100%, bro.
But obviously, I want a longer podcast session, so we'll be doing that from now on. if
Yeah, there we go.
if
There we
we
go.
haven't
Just keep pushing.
before. So as you said, Issues is your latest full length record. It has 12 tracks on it. Do you know if
Yeah.
it's on most streaming platforms by now or not?
No, dude. Like I manage all the social media and everything. for Vulgr. So I've only put it onto BandLab. You can
Okay.
get my full album over there and on YouTube. Those are only two places because basically for me to get DistroKid and pay 600 odd rand a year for the full package in order
It's
to
only
manage.
30.
Yeah, but
It's only 30.
yeah, but convert that into rands, it's 600 rand. Yeah, bro, the
Oh, right,
dollar is
right.
way stronger.
I'm dumb.
Dollar is way stronger than the rand, man. Dollar is way stronger. Like you guys, you have a dollar that's probably like 20 bucks for us, dude.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm stupid.
So,
Sorry.
so yeah, like we basically would have to pay that a year, and technically, even just having the following that I do, I will end up losing money
Mm,
every year if I had to be paying for district and stuff to keep my shit on Spotify, because that's not really where your money comes from. And
nah,
yeah, like
Spotify really isn't.
yeah, you see, even if you do have all the views and stuff, and all the listeners and shit, it's not really money. You'll get a bit, but the only people that's making money off of that is the people who are big.
Right.
Um, so basically, as a musician, especially on this part of the world, your main bit of cash will be coming from your gigs
Yes.
or your
Merch.
merch.
Hmm.
But you don't really get paid a lot for gigs over here. So being in a band of 5 to 6 members isn't really going to make sense because now you got to split that cash up with everybody. So being a one-man band really does help, with that because now I can at least walk away with that cash at the end of the night and still get myself home or, whatever I'm going to need.
Right.
Um, Fee has been paid for. When I go live, I'm definitely going to bring somebody on stage with me just to, handle the songs and skip them and all that and hype up the crowd on the side while I
Yeah,
do
hype
my thing.
man.
But that's it, dude. That's it.
Yeah. No, I didn't even keep track of that. So you said like a dollar over here is like $20 over there or some shit?
Yeah, it's 20 rand or some shit over here.
Holy fuck, dude. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
dude. It's crazy, man. It's like if a t-shirt costs like $23, then I'm spending like fucking 550 bucks, bro.
Man, I'm gonna have to spot the homie after session. Holy shit. Um, like, goddamn, bro. That sucks. I'm sorry. Um,
It
so with
shit, it sucks with the currency.
yeah, no, I can't. God damn, that's
Through the roof, man. Sucks. It's
I.
it's like it's ridiculous. It's
Mm,
ridiculous, is what it is.
yeah, no, agreed, man. I'm sorry. Okay, so with that in mind, we go ahead and dive into the Under the Skin session. As he said before, this album Issues is out on fuck. It's like Band Sound.
YouTube and
Band Lab. Okay, YouTube and Band
man,
Lab. So be sure to go check that out because US local homies like this guy needs the support. Um, and it will actually do him like a lot better than it would us, even with like, smaller amounts of
hell
streams and shit. But
yeah. Yeah.
nonetheless, we dive into the under the skin formula. And for those who are not like familiar associated with this formula, we go track by track doing lyrical analysis of each of the tracks on what will be this time a 12 track record. And I mean, I have a feeling that we've kind of heard most of the stories behind this record thus far. But
Bro,
nonetheless, man,
you've only
like
heard a bit.
there we go.
You
Yeah. We only
you've
scratched the
got half
surface.
of it, man.
Yeah.
When
So,
when you start asking about this album is when we really start getting to the juicy shit.
okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So in that case, my friend, go ahead and just offer me a back of the book summary for this album.
All right. Well, yeah. Basically, like I said, it's based on about the last 6 to 8 years of my life. Um, and you can hear in the songs, obviously, it's got a lot of talk of drug addiction, depression, and just suicidal tendencies. Um, they there's a lot of negative energy in there that I've laid down, hoping that somebody could take it and put it into positive energy, obviously. So hopefully nobody takes the lyrics and shit the wrong way. But that is how I've expressed it, you know.
Mhm.
But going down to my songs and stuff, you know, I've got tracks like Alone, you know, it's basically just talking about how I'm alone in my room, sipping lean, you know, running out of weed, fucking just chilling in the dark space, having withdrawals and shit like that, you know. Um, Nobody to talk to, nobody to, you know, relate with, just in your own, like, dark corner in your mind. And it gets really messed up, bro. Like you start contemplating like how you want to take yourself out and shit. It gets rough, dude. So like yeah, it's a bit of a mix up with all the tracks. Like every single one of them represents something different that I've been through. And I don't talk shit in my music, you know, like about shit that I've never done. Everything that's on my music and in my tracks I've done before. Like it's all from experience. It's the life that I live over here on this side.
Right.
Um, so the song Issues, I think it was Issues. I even did the voiceover piece in the beginning. That song there was basically a suicide note. Um, yeah, if you listen to it and all that, I even took the gun piece at the end over there. You know, the gunshot at the end of the song is basically me blowing my brains over the wall. Um, that will be put into the music video, definitely. But that's still gonna be a while away from filming. So yeah, we're gonna get to that one. Yeah. Um, the one thing that really did influence me to get this all started up was my engagement, or should I say my failed
Former
engagement.
engagement. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. You know, after living together and you know just doing everything together, seeing each other every day, supporting, you know, this and that, everything that you need to do in a relationship, right, was all just taken away in like a matter of 60 seconds. You know, like it just fucked off in a blink of an eye, basically. Um, yeah, and we had like a massive fight. And she ended up hitting me with a car and stabbing me in the chest with a steak knife. Um, so like that already, that feeling of being betrayed so fucking hard by somebody, like, you know, who you consider to be the best friend in the world. That definitely fucked up a lot of shit for me. Like, yeah, perspective, and especially with the fact of relationships, like I don't want to be in a relationship. I feel better rather that I would just be alone, you know, I can be myself. I don't have to like deal with any of that toxicity or anything anymore from
Yeah.
toxic people, you know. Um, so yeah, that is actually what my song "Hate" is based on. It's based on that exactly. Like if you over there, it's like I don't want this, I don't want this. Fuck you, I don't love you, I don't love you anymore, bitch. That was basically my realization of how, like, dude, that moment of realization, like I realized that the shit that I was being put through, I didn't fucking deserve at all,
No.
you know. And um, every day of that relationship, there was a fight, there was something, there was drama. It was more torture than it was like a
Love.
relationship, you know.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens, dude. Like, well, fuck. I know that's what happens. That's just what happened to me, you know. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
this was like gonna be the person that I was gonna spend the rest of my life and shit with, and it just all crashed, dude. You know, we had a
Yeah.
place to stay, we had a vehicle, dude. Everything was great. We almost even had a kid together, and then yeah, everything just fucked up, and everything just went away. And
Right.
that happened last year November, basically.
Damn,
And
man.
that's why early on I said, like, I mentioned, yeah, this was like the worst year of my life, basically. That was mainly because this whole year I've been trying to recover from that, and I'm still not recovered. You know, like that shit will stick to like the end, bro. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't go away.
No.
That really took a mental toll on me. Like I've had to deal with multiple mental breakdowns this year,
Hmm.
and like relapsing. There's a whole bunch of stupid shit. Um, but definitely music got me out of it.
That's
Music
good,
got me
man.
out of it. Making music got me out of it. Laying my shit down on paper is the best therapy and best decision that I could have ever made. And having the goal in mind to lay it down to hopefully help somebody else, you know, like hopefully like somebody could heal through my pain or some shit.
Yeah.
Like that that would be like the ultimate dream come true, I think, for Vulgr X.
Right. Well, shit, dude. Yeah, and I can't even imagine because I mean, the last time I really can we not? The last time I really loved, and that's this is like really what the first song I'm releasing is about. So, and that another parallel between the two Shawns here on this on
I
episode
did.
35.
Lay that
Um,
shit down, bro. You must like spread word. Fuck people.
mhm.
People are toxic, bro.
People
Stop
are
this
toxic.
relationship bullshit, dude. Like you need to learn how to find happiness within yourself, even though it is hard. You don't have
It
to
is
wear a
hard.
smile and shit all day. You don't have to do any of that, but try and just find that inner peace within yourself.
Right.
You are the only person that's going to be around for as long as you exist. So have your back. Don't worry about anybody else. Screw everybody else. You are you. You are
Right.
the only one gonna have your back till the end. Nobody else. Family is gonna die. Friends are gonna go and die. You know, like it's all that shit. So who's left at the end? It's only you.
Yeah. Gotta take
Find
care of
happiness.
yourself.
You know, stop trying to find happiness within other people and shit because that'll never help. The
Mm-mm.
reason why you're unhappy is because of yourself. You need to get yourself out of there and try and push. You know, and it is hard. Like I don't wake up with a fucking smile on my face. I wake up swearing, bro. I wake up as soon as I open up my eyes, I'm like, oh shit, fuck, you know, like, like as soon as I open up my eyes, I start swearing. You know, it's like I wake up pissed off. You
You
know,
wake up vulgar.
yeah, yeah, there we go. You know, yeah,
Jesus.
I wake up pissed off in the fucking morning, and it's like, why, you know? And then when you start like getting your head and shit cleared up, then it's like, okay, but why was I feeling like this? Why do I put myself to this unnecessary waste of energy? You
Hmm.
know, and that's the same with like that I think is a question you should be asking yourself with everything that you do to make sure that you're doing your part and getting your part back.
Exactly. As long
And
as
you're
you're
gonna just
investing in,
live with it.
as is stated in Jesus. What is wrong with my mic? Hold on. Yeah, like fuck. Um, as uh as is stated in the rule of alchemy, really, is the law of equivalent exchange. And like, whatever you invest, you hope to gain that back. And that's how it should be no matter what. I think that's a
Yeah,
pretty good way to describe that. Cause like,
yeah, for sure, for sure. Like obviously, don't go into it expecting anything back, but I mean, you know, like obviously in the back of your mind, you know, and you do kind of have that subconscious fucking thing going over there, like, yo, you know, like hopefully something comes back now, you know,
exactly.
just that feeling, you know, not 90% of the time nothing comes back, but now and again something will.
something, yeah, every now and then something sparks, and then you have a good example of chemistry, the reason that chemistry exists in the first place. And more specifically with romance, man, like up until my last long going relationship, which was only about a couple months or so, really, maybe even just a week. But this was like the third time dating this person, not saying their name because that's not necessary.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
learned the hard lesson about not giving people another chance after the second chance. That's all that needs to
yeah,
be said. And I was incredibly naive, and everybody's going to hear about it with this first song, really haunting. But also,
yeah.
it was my first failure. It was my first error. It was my first lesson learned. So I think it's a great way to get the band started. But as we continue moving through this album, I think you've covered what, like three or four tracks by now, or
What
for
what
issues
do you mean?
as an album.
Yeah?
Like we've talked about three different tracks so far, correct?
Yeah. So sorry, I can't actually remember all of my tracks. Um, yeah, so Washout was basically just like really deep, depressing. Let me just remind myself a little bit over here. So the PC is over here in front of me. Let me
You're good.
just get my brain spinning over here.
You're good.
Yeah, let me just get this. It's good to get sorted out quick. Uh, Um, yeah, what washouts, that's like purely based on drug addiction, and it's just about being in this haunting place. I mean, think about yourself coming off of a meth binge. Nothing is left. There's no alcohol, there's no weed, there's no nothing to help ease anything. Like you on your last packet of smokes. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You've been up for 3 days. What do you do? You know, that's kind of what um, Washout is based on. But that was still the first song of the album. That, in my opinion, is my least favorite song because of how little effort I put into it.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, like that was the first point of me like still starting out and learning kind of.
Okay.
So after that, let me just check here. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Okay. So the first track that I made from this album was definitely Washout. Um, the second track after that was Hanging by a Thread. That, yeah, basically, that's kind of how, like when you go through all of the shit that you do with somebody for so long, and then, you start seeing their attitudes change towards you, and start having what I call this, the bitchiness, you know, like just when you start becoming like a real bitch type of thing. Um, yeah, I actually had one of my friends copy the exact words of one of my exes, and I put that in the beginning of the song as a voice note, and yeah, dude, that was hanging on by a thread. That was basically talking about my suicidal thoughts and shit after the breakup. In the early stages of this year, like, yeah, it was just really like hard in the beginning, but dude, this song came to me like I had the beat in front of me and these words just flowed, dude.
Mhm.
The words just came. The words just came through, and I was like, "Holy shit! It's working, and it's flowing with the beat." Um, but yeah, and like on the side of that, hanging on by a thread is just talking about like how you're so sick of dealing with this shit with these types of people. The ones that come into your life and then say all this shit and like convince you that they're gonna stick, and then
And then
eventually
they
they
don't.
don't, and they turn out to be the narcissistic, fucking toxic piece of shit that you never needed to know in the first place, you know.
Right.
So that's basically what that song's going on about. Hate is definitely based on the toxic relationship and how I wish that you know, like that specific person never came into my life in the first place.
Right.
Um, you know, it's a shitty thing to say, but it is what it is, and
Yeah.
I feel like even though I never told that person that, I feel like me just laying it down in a song is just that
That's good enough.
that's enough. That's enough, you know. Um, Issues, yeah, that's the suicide note vibes. That little piece in the beginning, that's me. I did that little voiceover thing. That's basically nothing was written down. I was just sitting over there in the backyard. I was drunk and like I was feeling fucking depressed, and I felt that this intro in the beginning of the song was just like, too much. You know, it was just too long and it was missing something.
Hmm.
So I just flipped on my recorder and was like, you know, can't do this shit anymore. Like as if like I'm I'm telling the person next to me like, yeah, you know what, fuck it. I'm like I'm gonna give it my last shot. If it doesn't work, I'm blowing my brains out when I'm 30, you know.
Right.
So that's issues. That's what this whole album is based on. So
Hmm.
to put it in like bullet points, it's mental health, addiction, autism, even schizophrenia, all of that shit. If you're suffering from any mental health issues like bipolar, borderline personality disorder, any of that shit, um, yeah, this
Reach out.
album's definitely this album's for you, dude. Like if you need music for that kind of thing, dude, then you know trap metal is the place to fucking be because these dudes,
Right.
it's like yeah, and Dead Inside. Well, it's kind of self-explanatory, right?
Yeah.
Dead, Dead Inside, the whole song is just about the you know dealing with everything, and at the end, you know, you're just left with this empty, numb, fucking this just dead. You know, you don't want to wake up anymore. You don't want to do shit anymore.
Yeah.
You you're not in a mood for anything. You know, you don't have the effort to smile. You don't just nothing. Just
Yeah.
nothingness. It's it's a very poisonous feeling.
Right.
Um, Alone, we already spoke about that. Um, I have a song over here called "Fucked Up," which was one that I kind of slapped together. This I wrote when I was in a bit of an angry state of mind.
Right.
Um, it's basically just flipping off the previous person, you know.
Hmm.
It's like eat shit and die, bitch. I hope you fucking get AIDS. Like
Right.
those are the exact lyrics in there in "Fucked Up." Just eat shit and die, bitch. I hope you fucking get AIDS. That is, you know, the part inside you that even though you love a person so much, right? Like you still have this disgusted feeling towards them.
Yeah.
You know, especially after a fight or some shit, you know, you can still say, yeah, yeah, I love you, but you're still pissed off at them, kind of thing, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of like taking it in that type of context, you know.
Yes.
It's kind of revolving around that kind of thing, you know, if you want to jump it that way. Like, I mean, it wasn't the best song that I made. I found that the reverb and shit's a little bit much. Um, yeah, it's a little bit tinny, you know, like it kind of sounds like it was recording in a tin can. Uh, I,
Right.
yeah, like again, I don't have all the resources, you know, so mastering
Yeah.
and shit got to do with my cell phone or like
Hmm.
my aux is fucked, so I can't even use earphones. I legit use just my cell phone, you know.
Hmm.
So I've got to like mix and master like that. So it does make things kind of shitty, but once it's posted onto YouTube, I listen to it through a PC at a friend's house or something, and like, holy shit, some of it is like it's not bad. The beat comes out nicely. The volume levels are right for a person who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's great. I love that. Dimensions. Let's get over here to dimensions. This, obviously, dimensions is talking about the more fantasy side in your mind, your schizophrenic side, if you want to put it that way.
Okay.
You gotta really like. I I can't explain exactly like the song. I can only say that it's based on schizophrenia and some really out of this world shit that you know um it's just weird,
Right.
and it kind of it's like almost unsettling. um you would have to go and listen to the lyrics and put the pieces together yourself, I guess, to
Right.
kind of get uh your own idea of it, because my idea would not make sense to any fucking body if I had to try and explain it. So we're gonna have to skip that one. Yeah, go definitely listen to that and like try and piece those puzzles together, dude. It'll make sense.
All right.
But that's definitely on the whole schizophrenic side, losing your mind and losing your grip of reality. Um, especially with the copious amounts of substance that you pump your body with, and shit like that. So it, yeah, it talks about the long-term effects of how your mind could cock out.
Okay.
Um, let's see over yeah.
And I think that's about
Descend.
like 6 or 7 tracks now, right?
Yeah, that was 10.
10. Okay.
So
So we got 2 more
yeah,
tracks.
Descend. Yeah, that was actually quite metal influenced. Um, more like metal style lyrics.
Hmm.
Like if you're over there is bleeding out our offerings, laying right and got it right. It's that's not really like rap style shit. This
Hmm.
was definitely this was actually one of the metal songs that we had written up for a project that we had called Sentient Suffrage. You could probably actually still find that on YouTube. Um, but yeah, Dimensions and Descent both came from that project, and it was originally a 2 vocal piece project, and was full on metal,
Okay.
full on like melodic deathcore. It was great. Um, also made in a fucking bedroom. I mean, the dude stays in Joburg. I stay down over here in Cape Town, and we just, like had fun with it. And we both knew that the band isn't gonna carry on or anything. So I told him straight, like, look here, like, is it cool with you if like I go ahead and use these songs and make sure that they don't go to waste, Because like you don't want any like creativity to go to waste from any shit,
No.
if you have a song that didn't work out 3 years ago and you feel like deleting it, maybe take out a few bars from that, maybe, and a few lyrics or some shit, construct something else up around it. It can still be used.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's where the descent and all that comes from. But also, it's yeah, also fantasy based.
Okay. Cool.
Also fantasy based, and how like, yeah, descend into hell's realm as a mortal send, an offering to the godless shrine, beast benevolent, take this wine. It's like a metaphor, kind of, for how we give everything but we receive nothing.
Okay.
You know? Um, yeah. Let's check. One bitch, someone forced to take the revenge. Da, da, da. Yeah, it's basically like talking about nature's code, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. Purest form. That song itself is just me expressing my hate for, shitty people. And how I think at like at certain times when I'm pissed off, like how angry you get sometimes, you're like, fuck, I wish I could just blow the world up, like set everything on fire, like some shit, just kill everything, So
Mhm.
basically that song Purest Form is based on like depopulation, like how Slipknot had their people equal shit. Like it's kind of like that for me, I guess,
Right.
just straight up depopulation. I think like if I remember correctly, that song I actually I got the idea for the whole anti-humanity vibes from cattle decapitation, man.
Mm. No, that's
Love
actually
cattle decapitation. Great
sick.
fan, amazing vocals, fucking brilliant, brilliant. I love the whole like vibe on anti-humanity and depopulation is so great, and how people fuck up the earth. That's so true, man. Like it may be human nature and normal to everybody now, but if you think it's barbaric, it's fucking sick.
Yeah, I agree.
Not sick in a good way. I mean
No,
sick.
like
Like
disgusting, revolting.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
No, and
Yeah.
that would be Jesus, man. That is
Um
indeed track 12, is it? Right?
no, it's not actually.
Oh, okay.
Um I actually see over here I can skip the track. Agony.
Agony.
That's the
Okay.
intro for that's the intro for the album. That was a self-explanatory. Um that's just how I was dealing with the pain at the time. It wasn't the best way of dealing with the pain, but it was basically just like I was trying to use certain vocals in that track to try and let the listener get an idea of how much like pain I was in at that time. Um, so I really forced those vocals. I wasn't using the right vocals for it, and it's definitely not a vocal method people should use to get those kinds of sounds. But I shouted the shit out of that track, dude. Like straight up shouting. No vocal method, just shouting, but with a fucking screech, bro. um, and that uh, came out better than I thought. It's but that really I think captured what I wanted to have in it. It's
Right. No, that's
straight up
awesome, man.
about pain and just being left with that emptiness and agony, dude. That aching fucking sensation that just doesn't go away. Like you can't drown it out no matter how much you drink or smoke. It's there. It's there to stay.
It's there to
Um,
stay until you evict that shit.
yeah, dude. Like, what doesn't pay rent must fuck off.
Yeah, seriously. Well,
Then we got over here stitches. Well, also self-explanatory. Like get up in my face. You're gonna catch these hands, dude. Simple. So that's what stitches is about. Riot is basically just moshing song. I wrote Riot specifically as like a moshing anthem because I want people to be able to, like rock the fuck out of my shirt, So I'm hoping that Riot could have the biggest mosh pit on any of my other songs. Yeah.
right. No, it's sick. And I think that's a great way to wrap up the Under the Skin session for Vulgr, Shawn, and his most recent full length album, that being Issues. You can find it on his YouTube channel and on the Sound Band Lab
Fan Lab.
Band Lab. Jesus.
Band
Um,
Lab.
Band Lab. And I think for the final question of the podcast, then kind of breaking away from that under the skin session, what are your plans for Vulgr wrapping up the year and getting next year started? I know you mentioned a live show with a couple other Cape Town local bands and stuff. So
Yeah. Um, right now, for the end of the year, I'm very glad to say that I'm working on a track with CJ Stain. He's up over here in Joburg. Great artist, great voice, dude. Like, definitely go check out CJ Stain, bro. He's amazing. CJ capital dot Stain, Stein.
okay,
Um,
cool.
definitely go check that out. He's great, beautiful voice. Um, I love his song, Giselle. It's very touching, dude. Like that shit gives you goosebumps, bro. And he's also an independent artist, does everything himself. But yeah, we're working on a track now together. I'm working on another track, feature track with Slur. There's another trap metal artist over here that we will hopefully be releasing by the end of this year, if not early next year.
Right.
Um, there is another podcast lined up, apparently for the 10th of December, which I'll be joining the Johnny Taco Show.
Okay.
It's actually a Christian podcast from a Christian point of view.
Okay.
So I want to see what kind of questions I get asked, like what I can talk about on there. I want to
Right.
see what kind of conversation we can have and see where that kind of thing goes.
That actually
Um,
sounds pretty fun. Yeah.
yeah. Like, I mean, I've posted a little pic about it or something, and a lot of people gave me some shit about it. Like, oh, no, Christian, this Christian, that. It's like, bro, on some of your friends Christian, like, yeah, and it's, okay, cool. So you still hang out with them, don't you? It's like, yes. Oh, then shut the fuck up. It doesn't
Go,
matter if a
Shawn.
person religious views, that has got nothing to do with what kind of person they are. Obviously, yeah, okay, cool. If you're gonna be a shitty person, the door's wide enough for your ass to fit out. But if you legit, if you're real, and you're not gonna just be over there to talk shit and try to force your religion down somebody else's throats,
Right.
then go for
All the
it,
power
man.
to you.
Then it's chill. Yeah, dude.
Exactly. I think that's a great
So,
way
so
to.
basically that, and they trying to fit me into a gig this year still,
Okay.
but it's very hard to get it because it's quite close to the time now. So I wouldn't be
Right.
counting on that one much, but maybe. But the 7th of January for sure at the um, Armchair Theatre in Observatory here in Cape Town. There's
Sweet.
definitely a confirmation for that one.
Awesome, man. And I cannot wait to see how that all turns out. For we will definitely be keeping in contact. But this has been episode 35 of the Anatomy Podcast. And this has been a great opportunity, a great conversation, getting some perspective from Cape Town, in which, going through your whole going through quite a rough patch there, but coming out the other end better than ever, getting Vulgr started up, and hopefully eventually a slam project as well, or a deathcore project, some type of metalcore,
Yeah,
like
dude, sure,
some
bro.
type of
Like,
core project.
I'm going to do that. You
Yeah,
got to do that. You
yeah,
have to
you
push to the
have to.
top, bro. You gotta
But
be
this has
positive.
been, sorry, this has been the Anatomy Podcast featuring Shawn of Vulgr X. A great opportunity, and I have no idea who the next guest is, but we will be getting that cooked up as soon as possible. Otherwise, have a great night, folks.